Howdy everyone, it's me once again, the one and only Killer Redan. And today, as you can see, I'm still continuing my Disney movie marathon where we talk about the movies, obviously, TV shows, merchandise, and things, I don't know, whatever. If it's related to Disney in any shape or form, of course I'm going to be talking about it, obviously. So, this can be, again, yet another lengthy video, so thank you for anybody for tuning in, of course. Just want to talk about something that's rather ridiculous, and yes, I'm going to be speaking about this one individual, whom I spoke about before, and he's supposed to be this American sort of commentator, radio host, so on and so forth, and entrepreneur and all that, TV producer and whatnot. And don't get me wrong, I don't mind if people want to be an entrepreneur. If you want to, that's fine, because I do believe in the beauty of a free market. So I'm not going to get on him for that, okay, just to be perfectly clear. That's perfectly fine. It's just a nonsensical bullshit he's spewing out, and people just basically kissing his ass. Yes, I'm talking about this one show again. I don't really want to spend time talking about opinions on this because I've already said what I have to say about the show. Ultimately, I thought it was okay. It's okay. We had some stupid moments, but I thought it was okay. But I'm calling this smuck. He thinks Disney does not care about Star Wars. Disney hates Star Wars. Yeah, like they always say, diversity. That's about it, really. And just want to get into that real quick here, folks, of course. My interpretation of the situation is, you tell me that Disney as a studio, as a company, is going to be incompetent? What are you talking about? So that's basically what I'm going to be responding to that right there with this kind of really stupid attitude. And I hate to be this person. I'm not saying to go to his YouTube channel. Yes, he has a YouTube channel. I'm not saying to go over there and harass him. Okay, I'm not saying to harass anybody involved in this video. All right, don't be a bully and don't be as bad as he is. Don't snoop to his level. Is what I'm getting at. All right, just throwing it out there. Anyway, with that being said, let's just get into it, shall we? So here we go. Oh yeah,
the one and only.
Hey, that's my shtick. I always say that. What are you doing here, mate? Stop stealing my stuff. God.
Gary Beekler is on Nerdrotic.
I don't care.
Is what he is known as, and he has been hysterical.
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
On the new Star Wars series
A little more shut the hell up.
from Disney Plus called The Acolyte.
You're so stuck up. I'm pretty damn sure that y'all will get offended by something like this.
Our nation at a rapid pace, killing more of our teens than drugs and alcohol combined, is now... Sorry about that. Is now taking the first place position on why our teens are experiencing...
Fuck me right in the pussy!
Sorry.
I could cry. Oh my goodness. Oh.
I haven't seen it, but I have heard about it, and I have heard my friends talking about Gary and his conversations on it. Disney is actually blaming him for...
What the hell are you talking about? Who is this they? Who is they? This is too broad and abstract is what I'm talking about here. And Disney itself is a company. That's way, again, too abstract. What are you talking about? Who's blaming who exactly?
The loss of credibility on that new space thriller of the space lesbian witches. And YouTube has actually dinged him. And
Again, who is this they? They who? Who are you referring to exactly? I know he mentioned YouTube, but even then that's way too broad. You have to specify who at YouTube did that. Because there's many people involved with that company. There's many inner working, compartments, if that makes any sense. So, again, you have to be specific, which, again, people like you are using way too broad of a term here.
And is giving him strikes because he's a hate monger. because he doesn't like the lesbian witches in space. Gary, you're here to answer for yourself, brother. What's happening?
I'm here.
What's the issue exactly? What's wrong here? Who's doing what now? These people still haven't explained anything whatsoever. What's the problem? I don't understand any of this. What's the issue exactly?
I'm here to answer for my sins against Disney.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me on, Glenn.
Yeah.
and that is happening to it's random, but it's happening to a lot of YouTubers and commentators, and I'm not sure if you're aware, the star Amandla Stenberg.
Why do you have to bring up who's starring the show? What relevance does this have? How does it seem like Disney does not care? What made you think Disney does not care? How is it that adding diversity means that they don't care? How does it mean they're losing money? What is happening here exactly? Just like so many questions involving this little discussion or argument, what do you even call it here? What makes the show bad? You have not specified what exactly is the issue, really. So you just coming off nothing more than just nostalgia. Oh, I remember when Disney was so good. I remember when Star Wars good way back in the day, and yada yada. It just reminds me of those kind of people. Stop being stuck in the past, will you?
Yesterday released a diss track against Star Wars fans, and she is copyright claiming and dinging everybody on YouTube and X as well for her blatant attack on the Star Wars fandom, which is always, just a great strategy that's, by the way, never worked.
Yeah, I know. It's really great. Look, I'm a star of this new
What strategy? What didn't work? What are you talking about? What does this have to do with YouTube? What does this have to do with Disney? Who's going to do anything to anyone? Who's to blame here? What's going on? Again, what do you mean?
From, just this legacy that have been loved for 50 years. And I'm a big Star Wars fan, but...
Wait, what? What show has been going on for 50 years? Where? What show are you speaking about? You can't be talking about Star Wars because the Star Wars franchise has been going on in less time than that. 47 years to be exact. So it can't be Star Wars. And Disney, the Disney company have produced multiple different shows. And none of the shows has gone on for that long. None of them have. So even if they're good, they still haven't gone for that long. So what show?
All the Star Wars fans, they really suck a lot.
What are you talking about? We're gonna just take a piss on the entire franchise of fans, on the entire fandom, I should say. What was the point of that? Why are you trying to succeed here? What is happening? I don't get it.
Really, they're crazy. They don't know talent when they see it. They don't know a good storyline. Yeah, that's the way to attract those loyal viewers every single time. I saw the Rotten Tomatoes. The experts tell us that it's absolutely fantastic. 84%.
Oh, for crying out loud! Who is this they? Who's the experts? Where is the experts? Who is this they you're talking about? I mean, yes, when it comes to professional critics and the average Joe, of course, there's at times when people have disagreements, but still, though, there's literally no research that has been done here at all. Again, just a quick reminder here, folks, regardless of what I thought of the show, regardless if I enjoy the show or not, I just want to respond to this individual, okay, in this case, individuals, because what they're saying is completely nonsensical. They're intentionally misrepresenting what's going on here because there's a diverse type of cast of characters. And that somehow is a bad thing, but of course, again and again, is never explained as to why exactly. Again, I can't stress this out enough, okay? Because I know some people in the comic section might just misinterpret what I'm trying to say here. I can't just beat you over the head again and again. Regardless of what I thought of the show, regardless if I liked it or not, that's not the point of this video. I'm trying to get at is that these individuals these Christians and whatnot are intentionally misrepresenting what's going on for their own agenda and then accuse Disney for doing just that.
The average audience score is 14.
That's a bit high,
Tell me
in
a
my
little
opinion.
bit. Yeah.
So,
Tell us the story first. What is the story?
the story of the Acolyte is, as you said, there is a coven of lesbian space witches.
I don't know. That's about the dumbest thing I ever heard.
Oh, sweet baby Jesus on a cracker. Are you serious? Is this are you trolling me? I feel like this. I'm being trolled here. What's Aston Kutcher? Am I on that show being pranked or whatever that was? Is this a prank? Is this series a prank? So the show apparently is about lesbian wizards. What? The entire Jedi console, let me get this straight, no pun intended, is made up of nothing but lesbians. Are you serious?
That is without a doubt the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
I don't understand any of this because, okay, so you tell me that anybody who supports the new Star Wars, not the original Star Wars, but the more newer Star Wars is okay with sexual assault, they're okay with people getting hurt in a really violent way, and sexual harassment at work. This is serious things, you know that, right? So don't use this as an excuse to just shit on the new Star Wars TV show. I'm not saying you have to like the new Star Wars, okay? To be clear, I'm not saying you have to like it, all right? Just throwing it out there. Yeah, you think that the entire show is like this. Like, literally every female character on the Jedi console is like this. This type of a idea here. Like, what? What the hell gave you that idea? That doesn't necessarily mean literally every single character on the show is like this whatsoever. I mean, you can have maybe about one, two, maybe three characters who swing a sword and wave, catch my drift, but that does not mean if you're a lesbian, it equals to, or bisexuality, it equals to sexual assault. And they're trying to link the two together. It's like it's literally the same kind of thing, which is suspicious. Like, why gotta point out like that specifically? The idea of the TV show was basically centered around certain events, of course, set at the end of the High Republic, if I remember correctly, High Republic era before the events of the Skywalker saga, and follows the Jedi investigation into the series of crimes. Of course, it seems like the super general idea of it, of course, kind of a thing. And yeah, there are these two women who are twins and whatnot, and yes, they were separated from each other. And yes, they would eventually find out that, hey, we're related. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to agree on everything. Yeah, you would think that'd be like a tearful reunion and whatnot, but there's going to be a bit of a conflict between them, among other things, of course. And yeah, things get rather chaotic, of course, and as it should, as a way to, I guess, create conflict, create some kind of interest throughout the entire thing. So there was this investigation into this shocking crime spree, pretty much pits a respected Jedi master against a dangerous warrior from his past. Yeah, there was this one dude character who has like a mask thing over his face. So yeah, there's something going on with that. And yes, of course, as more and more clues come up to the surface, these characters must travel down a dark path where there's some sinister things that are about to be revealed and whatnot. And it's not all what it seems. That's like the super generalization of the story, really. Of course, if I want to like overly simplify it, of course, that's the general idea. And yes, of course, you have to live by the Jedi code, what is right and what is wrong, and then don't allow your personal bias to get in the way and all that jazz, of course. And that's kind of a thing, though. And that's the individuals who are complaining about, oh no, Star Wars has gone too woke or Star Wars has gone too political. It, I think that I do believe that misses the point of these types of storylines because the storylines has often always been political. Yes, even during the prequel era of these films and TV shows and all that jazz, these kind of stuff was always political from the very beginning. In other words, it was always woke. So what are you talking about here? I don't understand this. Really? Like, that was already a thing. That was already been a thing from the very get-go, all the way. At the end of the day, they just comes off as nothing more than just to talk shit about Disney, just for the do it, just for the sake of doing it. Because Oh no, it's not what it used to be. So what if it wasn't? And you still have to change. And these were the same people that could be complaining if stuff have stagnate. I don't know anymore. Whatever. I don't get it. Whatever.
They were split up at the age of like it was like 8 or 9, and they haven't seen each other for 16 years. Yet they have identical haircuts.
Really?
Oh, won't somebody please think of the children?
Okay, Disney is not trying to indoctrinate kids, okay? That's not what's going on. And that part of the story that you're referring to came from the prequel trilogy. Yeah, when George Lucas was making these movies on TV shows and whatnot. Okay, it was really just behind the movies, but they actually took that from the movies. You didn't complain then, so why are you complaining about that now? I don't get it. Okay, granted, it's a really stupid role within the Star Wars kind of universe because at the end of the day, it doesn't really make any sense. But I don't want to trend too much on this specifically because that's not what this video is about. I'm just trying to just going into the idea here that people like this are just ew, icky diversity, ew, icky lesbian is bad because God said so. Which again doesn't make any sense because if God doesn't like it, why doesn't he just take it away right the second?
What are the odds of the haircut thing? Really? That's crazy.
Well, a good hairstylist keeps her secrets. So obviously she isn't telling either one that they're going to the same one. But
so before we get into more of the lesbian space witch thing.
Oh my God, why are we still hung up on this? Lesbians, 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 lesbians. That's all I'm hearing. That's like the entire dialogue here. Lesbians, lesbians. Oh my God, lesbians. Ah, that's all I'm hearing. So what? Again, and like I was asking way earlier, what's the problem? What's the issue exactly? You still didn't explain anything. So again, what's the problem exactly? What is it? I'd so love to see if Disney made a what if hypothetical situation where Elsa is a vampire. I don't see that. That'd be pretty cool. She'd be youthful forever, and she just drink blood. But then maybe like she'll go after the people she cares about because her vampiric urge are kicking in. That'd be pretty cool. Well, wait a minute. That might be too offensive because, oh no, a woman is taking charge. How dare she?
Which I think America and the world's been crying out for a very long time. Tell me who is in charge of this disaster in space. Who did they?
For somebody that's supposed to be a political commentator, you sure are terrible when it comes to setting up arguments. Okay, aside from the supposed child indoctrination, you still really haven't explained anything. If you want to include that, it still confuses a lot of stuff because you still haven't explained that either, really.
To run this.
Former personal assistant to Harvey Weinstein, Leslie Headland, is the head writer on this show. Yeah, I know. It's shocking that somehow somebody connected to Harvey Weinstein can get work.
Yeah. I would think they would be in the federal witness protection.
Okay, I'm pretty sure a lot of people who's watching this may not know this offhand, but yeah, they were referring to this individual. Yes, who is a convicted sex offender, and yes, he has produced some movies and whatnot. So yeah, he has quite a bit of work. So yeah, this got dark quick. So okay, the people who were behind, at least that one individual that we referred to, the writer, apparently, yes, it's being a lesbian is the same thing as a sex offender. So if you're a lesbian, you're no different than that. So apparently, the Star Wars TV show is promoting this. Hey, it's normal. It's okay to get sexually assaulted. Like, what? What are you talking about? Yes, then therefore the TV show is automatically bad. It's horrendously awful, the worst of the worst of the worst of the worst of all time, just because of that. Like, because the apparently promoting sexual harassment. It's great to be sexually assaulted. In that regard, again, like I just asked, what are you talking about? Seriously, what? I still want to see a vampire queen Elsa. That'd be pretty badass. Yeah, I'm talking about Halloween stuff again. So what? I'm still on this. Whoop de doo. Pretty horrifying, maybe. Yeah, but even if you're trying to come up with something more original, of course, people like this are still going to tear it apart, though. Unfortunately. I mean, there's some truth in that. People will be complaining that Disney should stop remaking everything. Stop remaking everything. But if they try to do something more original, nobody supports it. And could you just imagine her being a vampire, though? That'd be pretty cool. I mean, she could literally read every book in existence. And because she had like an unlimited amount of time. Could you just imagine how many letters she'd be receiving over the years? That'd be a pretty interesting concept over there. But anyway, I'm going slightly off topic here, but look, this wrestler right here, yeah, he's definitely what you call a communist sympathizer. And that doesn't necessarily mean he's a part of said party, of course not. He's being a bit sympathetic, and yes, he was mocked as he should be. He shouldn't be ridiculed for this kind of a thing. He definitely should. But yes, and the other people booing him and whatnot. Then say something about this. Then criticize this guy as he should. He should be criticized for this kind of thing. He's an asshole. And he has shocking news, I know. He's a prick. But no, never mind. Don't discuss this at all, right? Okay.
Myself, but they might even turn them down. So she found work after being the personal assistant. So the one that was lining up all of the, hotel room meetings and everything else. She's now the head writer of the lesbian Space Witch show.
Yeah, of course, I'm trying to make it really demeaning, of course. Lesbian space wizards, lesbian space wizards. You just can't get over the fact that they're lesbian. You can't go beyond just on a superficial level, yet trying to sound deep. It's so ridiculous. Get over yourself.
She is. I think the term is Judas Goat. I think that's she got a job by begging for it on the red carpet when she was famously asked, "What's your favorite Star Wars?" And she said, "All the Star Wars," obviously not knowing a single thing about it. Later, she's come out and claimed.
Again, just really trying to beat you over the head that lesbians are no different than sexual abusers. Again, what is this based upon? Like where? Where's the evidence that would link all this? Of course, there's no evidence to back this up whatsoever.
Claim that she does, and she's written this entire story that not only passed the Bechdel test, it passes any DEI requirement with flying colors, for lack of a better description. But
again and again and again, nothing is ever explained. Whether somebody's an asshole or a good person is completely irrelevant to their sexual orientation. You can be a straight person and be an asshole. You can be a gay guy and be an asshole or a good person. None of this is relevant to the qualities of a person. You can be good or bad, regardless if you're straight or gay, or lesbian, or whatever else. This is not connected to your behavior whatsoever. Yet, these individuals are trying to make it as if it was. What?
Of Anakin and the prophecy, and every time they release another minute of Disney Star Wars, I can't even call it Star Wars, it's Disney Star Wars, on D+, it destroys more lore, and that's what the fans...
Yeah, the whole thing with the Anakin Skywalker and the whole prophecy thing was always a dumb idea to begin with, and this was never really brought up ever again in later films, nor even in the films that came out before. It's very inconsistent when you think about it.
Upset about. The thing is, this has been going on for years, Glenn. This is you can take it all the way back to The Force Awakens, and it seems to come to a head on this show for some reason, when I think it probably could have come to a head 6 other times.
But why?
Again, what's been going on for years? What's going on here? What is happening? What are any of you two talking about? Star Wars was always ruined Star Wars was already ruined before Disney got their hands on it. So what are you talking about?
This one. I mean, are they just? I mean, have they just been like, you know what? We've tried subtly to kill this thing. Let's just finally kill it.
Right. They found a way to kill something again. It's pretty amazing. I would argue that the Obi-Wan Kenobi show was much worse as far as destroying lore. Obi-Wan was supposed to, his sole purpose
Disney's goal was never to ruin Star Wars. That never happened. They didn't get the franchise out of George Lucas' hands just for the sole fact to destroy it. That's not what's going on. You're just making shit up
to
again.
launch Luke, and they had a show where he takes off on Luke twice, follows around a little baby Princess Leia who never mentions meeting him as a kid, and fights Darth Vader twice. So
This is again something I never understood. These individuals, just like a lot of other people from the fan base, are acting as if that Disney's sole purpose here was just to ruin their childhood, to ruin the franchise, just because. There's literally no reason for Disney to do that whatsoever. And yes, does the franchise have inconsistencies? Yeah, lots of them, lots of inconsistencies, like the whole thing with the whole prophecy thing I mentioned earlier, and then the whole thing with Ben Kenobi. How the hell did he age so fast? That's another thing, of course. Just like how Anakin Skywalker was supposed to be the end all be all greatest Jedi of all time. Yet the way he fights, the way he acts, okay, the way he acts is he acts like he's an asshole for one, and then his when it comes to fighting, he just fights just as well as a lot of the other Jedi. Yet he's supposed to be deemed as the greatest thing since sliced bread. Everybody's just being how do you say how does young folks say meat rider? Yeah, meat riding. Anakin Skywalker like he's the greatest thing. The bad guys, the good guys, anybody in between. He's just getting laid left and right, isn't he? But anyway, point being is that again, this kind of thing was never mentioned ever again. I think the whole thing with the virgin birth, it seems kind of odd, like a Jesus Christ kind of a thing. But in not only that, how do I say this? There's plenty of plot holes just with this alone. But I don't understand how a lot of people don't get on Disney's case. Oh, Disney just bought the rights for these films just to ruin everything, just for the sake of ruining everything. I never understood that right there. Then not only that, I know the whole idea that he's supposed to turn to the dark side and become Darth Vader, but these two characters, the Darth Vader in the original series of films and versus how he acts in the prequel trilogy, they act like totally different characters. So their personality is inconsistent in a numerous different ways. So again, do I as if that Disney bought the rights for these films just to shit on it, just to attack your childhood, just to be malicious, just for its own sake? What?
really shouldn't surprise anybody. But I guess this show is.
But this
I would
one
equate it. Oh, go on.
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We have a delay, and I forget. I'm so excited to talk to you about this.
What the hell are you guys talking about? Seriously. Oh, Disney ruined it. 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 That's all I'm hearing. Disney ruined it. Disney ruined it. What are you talking about?
It kind of does. I personally am not a fan of midichlorians and never will
hate
be.
it.
But
Right.
I absolutely hate it. But like, I guess Disney Star Wars has proven things can always get worse. And
Again, for like the 100th time. How did Disney ruin anything? How? How did that happen? You're not explaining anything. Again, all I'm hearing is like, oh no, Disney ruined it. Disney ruined it. Disney. How did that happen? How? How exactly did that happen? You're not going to do detail whatsoever.
beat our very lowered expectations of how bad it would be, and it's a show. If you see it, it's contradictory. It like you have characters contradicting each other. None of it actually makes any sense. For storytelling wise, you spend your first two episodes establishing a character, then you go into a flashback for an entire episode.
There's been multiple different shows that did have diversity. Maybe one's from one culture and the other's from the other culture, but they're from the same gender. This has been done before. Before Disney bought the rights for Star Wars. Why are you acting that suddenly this came out of nowhere, literally nowhere? Suddenly, this would automatically make it bad. Just because they want to be inclusive, the people who make the shows does not mean it's suddenly bad. That makes no
Really
sense.
doesn't tell you anything new. And then the last episode was 27 minutes long without, previously on in credits, and nothing happens. Absolutely nothing happens. Oh, and by the way, Glenn, it cost $180 million to produce.
Oh my gosh.
Excuse me, what? So, how is wanting to be inclusive means that they're being wasteful with money? You don't want to spend the money if you want to be inclusive. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. What are you talking about?
What has happened to Disney? I mean, besides all of the DEI crap, the greatest storytelling company ever cannot seem to tell a story anymore.
Again, what are you talking about? So being inclusive equals to bad storytelling. Why is a bad equal to some of the worst storytelling in existence somehow? How do you measure that somehow? How do you measure that exactly? What are you talking about?
No, they are creative bankruptcy personified now. And they were on the top when Bob Iger decided to buy a bunch of franchises, and everybody was calling.
What? So being inclusive also translates to bad marketing decisions. So you're going to intentionally self-sabotage your own company, whatever that is, if you're being inclusive.
This
What?
massive genius when he just went on a shopping spree and never bothered looking into what it takes to cultivate these franchises and keep them around, what it took to keep them around for decades. It's not being talked about as much, but they have a Doctor Who show that they are now in charge of running.
Well, for one, I've had a lot of used Disney items which I sold. I made quite a bit of money actually to pay off my credit card. So this contradicts the whole notion that if you're inclusive, you're financially irresponsible. That doesn't make any sense.
Along with Acolyte, and they're both. It's a race to the bottom with both of these.
I love Doctor Who, and
so do I.
When did Disney buy into Doctor Who? How did I hate the BBC, but how did the BBC even let that happen?
Oh boy! Basically, he's acting as he and his friend or whoever he is are acting as if that the Disney, the people who work there, all the employees are basically chickens without their heads. They're just running around without any sense of direction. The boss man over here, Bob, whatever his name is, they're acting as if that they don't know what to talk about. The leader who was helping Disney out, the main guy who's running the company, don't know what he's doing. Just basically, in other words, everybody involved in this company is just completely and utterly clueless on how to run a business just because of the fact they've been inclusive. How does that mean that? Like, what are you talking about exactly? How does this translate to anything? What are you talking about?
They gave this one to the doctor and made it more prominent with the first black gay doctor, and that's they're in this trap now. Instead of giving the fans what they want and just making good entertainment, they have to.
Gimmick.
Yeah, this kind of rhetoric sort of reminds me of something. I wonder what it is.
I'm afraid if we lose this one, it's going to take a civil war to save the country, and it will be saved.
Abide, but and the BBC started this much earlier on, back in 2012.
Yeah.
They had the diversity and inclusion.
It's the greatest experiment in the history of mankind, and if we come down to a civil war, I'm glad we
initiative, which is all the DEI stuff, and it prevents them from telling a good story. They have so many rules on.
We got people like Schmitty and the Bikers for Trump on our side
themselves. So with the corporatism, to go back to Disney, with the corporatism.
This is Ohio State Senator George Lang calling for a civil war if Trump loses the election.
Really can't take chances anymore. And this even goes beyond woke entertainment. They just need to have this built-in audience.
He later said he regrets making those remarks, but they aren't the first of their kind from MAGA Republicans. Recently, Trump himself said,
if we don't win this election, we
to spend money on anything, and in my opinion, overspend. And what makes things insane is they paid.
We may never have another election. I'm telling you, this may be our last election.
And numerous politicians on the right have signaled they won't accept the election results if Trump doesn't.
So much money for this built-in audience that they immediately decide to piss off, not only with their storytelling, they come out and.
Yes or no, will you accept the election results of 2024?
I look forward to President Trump being the 47th president.
Gaslight the fandom with a term that's a real term called fan baiting, which is to start controversies online.
Other MAGA politicians and pundits have also suggested the possibility of a civil war.
We become totally unhinged.
So people are talking about their show. And again, I haven't seen an example of this ever working, but they've been doing it now for 7 or 8 years.
If Donald Trump is not elected in November,
we are in the process of the Second American Revolution, which will remain bloodless.
This was right at the front end of the AIDS epidemic, and pastors who cared were reading everything they could find out, because I happen to have believed, and haven't changed my mind, that it was a judgment as a result of an immoral act. It was interesting, in those days it was still largely called GRIDS, gay-related immune deficiency.
If the left allows it to be.
I don't want a civil war. I don't want to have to draw my rifle. I want to make this problem go away.
Syndrome. And to this very day, the overwhelming majority of those who are transmitting that disease are still homosexuals. It is a homosexual disease.
With my legislative means of doing so.
Harris campaign spokesperson Amar Musa responded to Senator Lang's Civil War prediction in a statement saying, Donald Trump and J.D. Vance are running a campaign openly sowing hatred and promising revenge against their political opponents. It's a feature, not a bug, of their campaign and message to the American people. That's why a Republican official was empowered to predict a civil war while introducing these candidates.
So we're talking to Gary Beekler about Nerdrotic, and he is Nerdrotic Online. We're talking about the new Disney show. They admitted that they had a secret gay agenda.
But do you have any proof of that? Don't say that. That's a genuine question. Do you have any proof of that? Because that never happened. That never once happened ever. At all. So you're lying again.
And I really don't care. I mean, I really don't care. But God, stop preaching to us and stop trying to make it look like the whole universe is, lesbian space witches.
Of course, people like this also gone on the case for the Incredible movies because the female characters may look a certain way. How dare you? Why do you have to be such a tight ass? I mean, really? This is just ridiculous.
Because it just ain't. It's just not. And I used to think that George Lucas was the biggest problem to Star Wars because he would always introduce things like Jar Jar Binks. You'd be like, oh, geez. But at least he cared about the story. At least the story of the Force was consistent and it built on each other. I'm
still wondering how Disney ruined Star Wars just because they've been inclusive. That in itself does not equal to bad writing. I know that that's what they're getting at. If it's inclusive, it's somehow automatically shitty from the start. How? How does that happen? This is so ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense. But I'm not saying you have to like the show. You just have to explain it more better.
No, not anymore. This was a basic story of good versus evil, and it doesn't work in the modern nihilist times that we're in, where, it's gray and the Jedi are bad. George was a genius. George is at the top of his craft. There'll never be anything like him again. Was he the best storyteller? No, he actually had a lot of help with the original trilogy.
Yeah.
Not much help with the prequels.
These individuals are acting as if that just because you're being inclusive is just as irritating as Jar Jar Binks. I'm pretty sure a lot of you remember Jar Jar Binks. Yes, that character. They're acting as if he's just as annoying as that character. This is dumb.
But he's still, when he's putting in half the effort, he's better than everybody in Hollywood. And he's looking much better nowadays, too. Unfortunately, he backed Iger with Nelson Peltz. And because he's an old man, right? He's in his 80s. He doesn't want to rock the boat. He's made a lot of money off this Disney deal, a lot of money. But Disney doesn't understand Star Wars, never will. And more importantly, they don't understand Star Wars fans. And
these individuals are just miserable. Again, what? How is Disney losing money just by being inclusive? How does that even make any sense? What are you talking about? Again, dumb.
Actively hate them, which is kind of
I don't think
undercurrent. Oh, sorry.
No, I don't think they understand anybody. I really don't. I don't think they understand their own Disney fans, you know, the children and the families. They don't understand any of it. They act as though they do hate them.
Because they do. And forgive me, this isn't Glenn's fault. This is my first radio interview. So I apologize, and thanks for having me.
Again, who is this they? Who is they you're referring to? Who is this they? Which they? Who are you talking about? Whoever this person is or people, you're acting as if they're incompetent. Again, who is this they?
Glenn. They hate the fans, and they actively hate Star Wars, and they're now calling the fans racist and bigots for pointing out inconsistencies in lore. Like normal fan stuff that fans have done forever and will do forever. And that's like Hollywood's having a very hard time in the social media era. We've seen the death.
Diversity bad, 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 bad, diversity. Diversity is terrible, diversity is stupid, diversity is stupid, diversity is stupid. That's what I'm hearing here. You realize that diversity actually helped out Marvel? Well, case in point.
Oh, because I'd never seen a black vampire that did karate before. It was real simple. All of my friends, we've never seen a cool Shaft-like vampire that did karate at the same time.
Well, that brings up...
Got to do this movie. Most of the representation I had at the time were very against me doing the Blade role.
Why?
They considered me a classical actor and a professionally trained actor, and it was beneath the skill set. And my trajectory was to do dramatic types of roles, you know, work my way towards getting awards, et cetera, et cetera.
And what made you want to do it?
The movie star, and quite frankly, it's because we got to know them. And now it's based on properties, right? And they don't want to take the time to understand these properties, and you can't use the old model of...
Again, who is this they you're referring to? Who's they? Who? Keep just going on this generalization, and yet at the same time you're supposed to be super specific. You can't be specific and generally vague at the same time, yet that's what you're trying to do. Be vague and specific at the same time. Like, what?
Oh, well, we can just change stuff and nobody's going to care. No, a lot of people always cared. Now you're going to hear about it a lot. And you have to worry, you have to figure this out or you're going down.
Wait, what? Who's doing what now to whom and where and why? You still haven't explained anything. I'm almost just about to be done here, and you still didn't explain anything. You just complain about the fact that, oh no, diversity, gay characters, oh no. That's something bad is going to happen. What are you talking about? Oh, seriously, what are you talking about?
Gary, thank you so much for talking to us. He's one of the largest pop culture voices on YouTube and social media.
I do find it rather weird that people like this are so preoccupied with grown adults sleeping with other grown adults. Like, as long as they're of age, and it's within consent, of course, then who cares? What's the matter, really? No, seriously, what's the matter? This is so confusing.
And the establishment, Disney and everybody, seems to be afraid of his voice because he's just speaking the truth that we all know.
All right, folks, that's, well, this really stupid thing ends, of course. But it just goes under the same thing I've heard multiple times already, where a lot of these individuals assume that Star Wars has been forever ruined because Disney's been incompetent, and the reason they're being incompetent is because they're being inclusive. How does that make any sense is never explained. I've heard this kind of argument multiple times before, and it's apparently that Disney's getting desperate because reasons. And I'm not saying that Disney, the corporation, can't be criticized, okay? I'm not saying they can't, all right? They can. They have made mistakes before. They have made bad movies before. They have made bad TV shows before. That has happened. I'm not here trying to disguise that in any shape or form, okay? I'm not trying to dismiss any of that, all right? Just throwing it out there. But I'm not going to argue that just because of the fact that they've been inclusive. Just the mere fact that they've been inclusive, that in itself does not mean it's automatically garbage. It just depends on the writing. Has there been bad diversity? Yes, there has been bad diversity. That has happened before. There are multiple stories. There's multitude of stories that have diversity, and it's terrible. That does happen. That's absolutely true. However, again, just because been inclusive, that isn't automatically mean it's bad. Just to be perfectly clear. I was saying, let's just wrap things up, shall we, folks? This is just ridiculous. Being inclusive in itself is not a bad thing. I know a lot of people just assume that a lot of businesses, whether it's Walmart, Target, it doesn't matter. Just any business that wants to be inclusive somehow is a bad strategy. And that's never explained as to why. And then how from some criticism from even from the LGBT plus community, where certain businesses are just barely doing it, just tippy-toeing around it, really, just barely doing it, just breadcrumbs. Uh, Christ, I mean, okay, could certain companies do better with it? Maybe, but baby steps. It's at least it's a step in the right direction, I guess. I mean, I don't mind companies making money off the rainbow. I'm not really against that because we all gotta make money at the end of the day. It's a form of capitalism when you think about it. But anyway, anybody and everyone should have the right to make money. This includes Disney. If they feel the Disney company, whether it's the directors, the theme parks, the people who run the shops, like the stores or whatever, if they feel it's necessary to be inclusive and as a way to make money, I mean, I'm not going to fight against that because that's in a way a pretty good idea. Ultimately, you want people to buy your stuff, buy. You want people to buy your stuff, whether it's an Elsa doll, whether it's on it doesn't matter. You love the Frozen dollies and what have you. You want people to buy your stuff. That's ultimately what you want them to do, which is fine. This even goes to Walgreens or Pizza Hut, whatever, Round Table. Yes, I'm including pizza places, of course. Any burger joints like Wendy's and whatnot. Of course, you want people to buy your stuff. Of course. You want people to buy your product, and you want your product to do well. And if it does well, then yes, that would mean people want it, which again is totally fine, of course. So I still don't see what the problem is exactly. Like what's going on here? Like what is the issue specifically? I have no idea what the problem is. And I just find it rather bizarre that they're so preoccupied on who is sleeping with whom. Why do you care if who is sleeping in the bed with somebody? That's bizarre. That's so weird to me. I've mentioned this before, of course. I find it rather creepy that these religious individuals are so preoccupied with grown adults sleeping with other grown adults. Yeah, I don't get it. Even if they just want to, get intimate and live and leave it at that, that's fine. And if they want to have a relationship and take things further, that's fine too. As long as between grown consenting adults, I don't care. Don't bother me, and I won't bother you, kind of situation. That's how it is. That's. I mean, of course, not to be rude with anybody, obviously, of course. I don't know anymore. It just seems rather bizarre that these kinds of individuals are so preoccupied with who's doing what with whom. I mean, Disney has made good movies and Disney has made mediocre movies. Disney has made good shows and Disney has made mediocre shows and whatnot. The quality alone is not completely reliant on representation. Does this mean that every single story in existence needs representation? Of course not. Not every single story, of course not. As long as it's good, I mean, at the end of the day, I just want a good story, right? At the end of the day, whether it has it or not, I just want a good story. Okay? Whether it's a show or a movie or even a video game, I guess. I'm really concerned if there's a good story to it. I mean, if you have a representation, fine. Make sure that there's a good story. There's a good beginning, middle, and end, and whatnot. Just think about like a puzzle piece. The more the puzzles fit, the pieces, I mean, the better the puzzle. The more clear the picture, so to speak. So there you go, I guess. But anyway, like I said, I'm just rambling on this point. I know it just gives me a headache. This stuff like this is why I haven't done one of these kinds of videos in a good while, because it's just keep hearing the same thing over and over and over and over again. Maybe sometimes it's slightly different, I guess. Maybe sometimes it's a bit different, I suppose. But anyway, and I was thinking to just cut this into different parts, but honestly, I didn't feel like doing that really. I'll just keep this in one video, one long video. So again, I do have to thank anybody for watching this ahead of time, because this is a pretty damn long video. And I still not have received an explanation as to why the show is quote unquote bad. I'm hearing that, speaking of repeats, I'm just hearing the same thing on repeat. Diversity bad, diversity equals bad. I don't know. But anyway, that'll be it, folks. Diversity bad. I don't get it. Thanks for watching, folks. See you, I guess. Whatever. Yeah. Uh huh. Whatever.